What you are about to hear is highly classified. Pay attention and listen at all times. And most importantly, remember, the abbreviation for verses is VS, period, not V. That's 5. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering Zone 4. And welcome back to the Zone. I'm Brant Fowler.
I'm John Wilson.
I'm Frank Rayner.
And I'm Ron Fortier, the captain, back again for episode number 270 of Zone 4, just prior to Memorial Day. So, Brant, we have sponsors this week, don't we?
We do indeed.
Sponsor of the week.
And our first sponsor is, of course, Audible.com. If you go to audibletrial.com/Zone4podcast, you can get a free 30-day trial and a free book download. And going through that link does help the show. And Ron, I understand you have some suggestions this week.
Yeah, well, and I just mentioned that because we're heading into the Memorial Day weekend, which is pretty much the unofficial start of summer across the country. So, any of you out there, feeling in a patriotic mood, if you will, and you want to check out some of the war-related historical books available on Audible.com, I found 3 that covered different campaigns throughout the history of mankind, and I thought that were, worth noting and suggesting to the folks at home, if you've never actually read the novels themselves, and would like to pick up an audio book and listen to some really, really remarkable literature. The first one is a classic that I first saw in high school called All's Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Marie Remarque. And this is a story of a young German soldier in World War I. It's pretty much their version of Red Badge of Courage. And the Audible version of this is read by Frank Mueller, and it runs for 6 hours and 55 minutes. Wow. If you've never read the book or seen any of the early film adaptations, I recommend it highly. Now, mentioning Red Badge of Courage, my second recommendation is a Civil War novel, one of the best ever done by an historian turned writer, Michael Shara, and it's called Killer Angels, a novel of the Civil War. And it's read by Stephen Ho. And believe me, guys, okay, if you really have the time and a long commute, all right, this is a huge book. I remember reading it and enjoying it. It runs 13 hours and 48 minutes. Wow. Pretty much the time of the Civil War itself, pretty much.
I was about to say, just in case the war was too short for you, here's the audio version of it.
But this is really one of those kind of books that if you're a history buff, trust me, okay. I mean, Shara is again a professor and historian, and man, the research he did for this book is unbelievable, and about the turmoil in this country's history. And finally, the last book I wanted to recommend, because this one is one of my personal favorites, and I think most of us know it from the award-winning HBO miniseries, or maxi series, if you will, Band of Brothers, by the late Stephen Ambrose. And this one, it's about the 108th Airborne Division from their time in their arrival on D-Day at Normandy Beach, to the end of the war where they captured Hitler's Eyrie, his castle up in the Alps. And it's read by Tim Jerome, and its running time is 12 hours and 37 minutes. Much like Killer Angels, this is the entire unabridged version. So there you go, 3 exceptional historical books on warfare and history available amongst the 150,000 books that Audible has for you.
Yes. Awesome. Very cool. And very nice way to pay tribute on this holiday weekend. So.
Yep.
All right. So our other sponsor this week is Derby City Comic Con, which is taking place June 28th and 29th in Louisville, Kentucky at the Kentucky Convention Center. Is that correct, John?
Kentucky International Convention
Thank you.
Center.
I knew I left a word out there. But you can learn all about it at DerbyCityComicCon.com. Featured guests Mark Wade, Robert Venditti, tons of other guests like Craig Boldman. Announced this week a bunch of the comic-related family, Scott Simmons, Eric Radcliffe, Chad Stroll.
Some loser named Brant Fowler.
And various others.
You are getting out a second time this year, Brant? I'm
second
shocked.
time in 2 months, I'm telling you.
Wow.
Crazy.
Right.
So it's going to be a blast. So if you are in the Louisville area or tri-state area, please, heck, fly down. Ron, come on. No, seriously.
Yeah, after this past weekend, which we'll get into, I'm staying away from aircraft, believe
Understood,
me.
yeah.
We'll let you talk about pulps and everything.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Oh.
But yeah, seriously, if you can be there, it's going to be a blast. There's going to be a pre-show party on Friday night, and all kinds of cool stuff going on. So, DerbyCityComicCon.com. And we should mention also that we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us each and every Friday on comicspodcasts.com, along with various other shows, including many comic-related podcasts.
Hello.
So, Ron, you mentioned flying this past week. So, where did you go, and how are you?
Yeah, as I mentioned, our oldest granddaughter, Christy, graduated this past weekend, along with 2,999 other students from the University of New Hampshire in Durham, New Hampshire. 3,000, a class of 3,000 students. It's mind-boggling. And talk about a hit-and-run kind of vacation. We had other things that we have to do here, other obligations. So it was one of those cases where we made the trip to go, but it was going to be really one of those kind of hit-and-run trips. Mm-hmm. Wednesday night, and flew out of Denver to Midway Airport, halfway mark. And of course, by the time you fly out mid-afternoons, guys, if you haven't flown in a long time, as the day wears along, each flight is 10 minutes later, a half hour later, or whatever. So I've flown enough to various conventions over the last 7-8 years to know that whenever you book a late afternoon flight, you're going to be delayed anyways. It's never going to be on time. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So by the time we landed in Manchester, New Hampshire, it was well after midnight. I have to tell you guys this story because it was really funny. We get to baggage claim, and my wife says, "Well, you go collect the bags, and I'll go to the car rental and get us a car." I said, "Okay." So off she goes. So the bags come on the turnstiles, and I get the bags, and I head over, and she's just leaving the budget rental service place, and she's holding some keys in her hands. And so she says to me, she says, "Well," she goes, "we know where the garage is at this airport." She says, "Well, there's nobody out there. The guy told me at the desk." And I went, "Well, what do you mean there's nobody out there?" She goes, "Well, their shift ended at midnight. They all went home. So he's the only one here." And he basically, and this is where this was wild. He basically said, "We've got 2 cars left in lot 47. He says, "They're both brand new. One's a brand new Kia, and the other one's a brand new Subaru Outback. Which would you like?" As the fact that we own a Subaru here in Colorado, Valerie wisely said, "Well, my husband's much better used to riding a Subaru. They're not that different apart, so we'll take that one." So now we get the key. We walk out into this huge garage, with Alamo and everybody else. We go over to the budget lots, and sure enough, there are these 2 cars. So I click on the button on the key, and the horn beeps, and there's the Subaru Outback. And we're told, like I said, it's brand new. Okay. So I go over, I lift up the tail end, the luggage end, and we put our bags away. We go get in the car. I turn on the ignition, and I look at the odometer, and guys, 22 miles. Okay? I mean, this thing had just come off the truck.
Wow, that's pretty new.
Tell me about it. So we drive off, right? We have like an hour drive south to where we're going to be staying, where our families are, and all near the university and stuff. But the one smiley thing about that weekend was driving that brand new Subaru Outback, the new cars smell and everything. It was like when I had to turn it in 4 days later when we went home, I didn't want to give it up.
It's like, we'll just drive back.
Yeah, I told Val, I says, you take the plane, I'll drive this home.
You should have kicked the door in and said, who put the other 22 miles on this? You told me a new car.
Hey, I mean, they're making cars today, with all this, like what they call this new flex fuel science, right? And whenever you pick up a car from a rental, you have a full tank of gas. So I think, as I recall, we ended up at the end of 4.5 days bringing it back. I think I put the mileage on it was up to 175 miles or whatever. And that was only a half a tank of gas.
Wow.
I turned it back in with a half a tank still in that car. I went,
I want this car.
Insane, But anyway, that was a little bit about that. But the fun of the weekend, obviously, was I got to visit my mom and to see her again, which, we like to do at least once a year. Mom's 89 now and doing well for, folks listening out there. I've had a lot of folks on Facebook, who knew that she'd been ill. She had a rough start of the year. She fell at the start of the year and broke her hip and went through all kinds of ridiculous procedures until finally they bit the bullet and decided to give her a new hip, replace it. And thank God they did, because she's on the road to recovery. She's doing really well. She can get around now without any pain at all. And so it was a ball seeing her while we were there and visiting. And then, of course, the excitement of the college graduation. And the University of New Hampshire is an old university. It goes back many, over hundreds of years. I believe this was the 144th graduation class from the university. It initially began as an agricultural university and grew and grew and grew and added new schools and new sciences and whatever. My granddaughter graduated with a major in sociology and minors in criminal justice and geography. And trust me, this young lady is not letting any moss grow under her feet. She's already been accepted to the University of Georgia in Athens in the fall, where she will begin her master's program. So,
Your daughter's going to be Batgirl? Or your granddaughter, rather, is going to be Batgirl?
Yeah, hey, don't. You know what? When she was first born, and this goes back, and we were talking earlier about how fast time flies. When Christy was born, like I said, she's the oldest of our 6 grandkids. Her mom was like beside herself, our daughter Michelle, about having to go back to work and whatever. And I felt so bad about that and was so enamored of our first grandchild that I literally went to my bosses at the GE factory where I work and asked to switch shifts to go on nights so that I could offer to babysit Christy and let her mom go back to work. So, of course, Valerie thought I was crazy when I did that, but eventually came around and did the same thing. So for the first 3 years of this little girl's life, we had her every single day.
Oh, wow.
Until Michelle, got pregnant for their second child, our granddaughter Chelsea, at which point she says, you know what, enough of this. I really want to be home to see this one grow up. And, mom and dad did all that, but I want to be a stay-at-home mother. And they were able to do it. So for 3 years now, all right, Valerie and I are raising Christy. Well, you guys got to know, all right? I mean, half the time, by the time she was like a year old, I had her in front of the TV watching the Batman animated series.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Okay? Right. Then I take her to the playground when she's like 2 years old. And one day, I never forget because it's burned into my mind, right? I've got her on the swings, and I'm pushing her on the swings, and these 2 little boys are running around. And she's, like I said, she's maybe 2.5. And these little boys are running around talking about Batman. and one of them says something about Robin, okay, and got it wrong. Because all of a sudden Christy goes, Robin's really Dick Grayson, and his parents were in the circus.
Nice.
Oh, did I bring her up right? Let me tell you, So anyways, long story short, this was really a special weekend for me and Valerie, as exhausting as it was, because, again, leaving Monday was the same, hurry up, get back to the airport, jump on a plane, catch a connecting flight in Midway, fly to Denver, and we didn't get back home here in Fort Collins till way after midnight Monday night. And trust me, guys, I'm not that young anymore to be doing this all the time. But it was a memorable weekend. If you've seen my Facebook page at all, I posted a couple of pictures. And, I've got to add this. One of the coolest things of all, most commencement exercises, it's always an iffy question for the faculty of who are we going to get, to be the commencement speaker. Who's our guest going to be, right? Mm-hmm. And 9 out of 10 times they go after, big name politicians who bore you to death. The same old rhetoric and the same old blah, 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 blah. Well, not this year. The university, as it turns out, went after one of their alumni, and that was none other than 42-year-old Jennifer Lee, who earlier this year won the Academy Award for writing and directing Disney's animated feature Frozen.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, totally. And during that day, the day before Convocation Day, Christy and her boyfriend Taylor went to a big lobster bake for all the students who were graduating, and she was there mingling with the students, and Christy actually got a picture of them together so that, you see, well, here we are at the graduation ceremonies, and you're kind of curious, what this woman is about and what she's going to say to these kids. And she got up and gave, honest to God, guys, one of the most inspirational, personal messages I have ever heard in my life. I mean, I don't know about these kids, but I was inspired. She is a remarkable woman, extremely talented, and most of her speech was about her life, her experiences at the university, and how she dealt a great deal with self-doubt in her life, and how most creative people do that. They have that always niggling little voice that says you're not good enough. Mm-hmm. And that was her message to these young people going out into the world, all right? Learn to accept your talents. Learn to accept that you are good enough. And when that self-doubt starts speaking in your ear, shut it off. It's lying to you. It'll only hold you back. It was a remarkable speech. She's a remarkable woman, and another highlight of the weekend. So there you go. That's what I did. And I think it's time we let Frank get in here and tell us what his vacation's been all about.
Yeah, though I am surprised she didn't tell them to let it go. But no, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Now, you know the worst part about that is I actually let Frank go about being out for a second time in a month. I didn't say a word at all because I know I've been pretty adamant about him doing his Howard Hughes impersonation, staying in the house and peeing in bottles and stuff. And I don't know if it was John or Ron that said, wow, you're getting out for a second time. I left that alone, for God's sake. I wish I could be as adventurous and as eloquent as what Ron did, but really, to be honest with you, I haven't done a whole lot. I had a birthday Friday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. A friend of mine took me to lunch and see Godzilla, which was kind of cool. And then Saturday, I went out of town to Columbus for a barbecue, but to be honest with you, it's been more about getting stuff done here and just hanging out. But I do think that sometime in the next 2 days, has anyone ever heard of Elmo's Steakhouse in Indianapolis? Anybody?
No.
Well, it's supposed to be one of the more famous steak places to go to. I think we're going to take a pilgrimage there just to try it out. But sadly to say, I haven't had much the adventure that Ron has, but I will never complain about time off.
Wise man.
You know, 30 years of working in a factory, believe me, every time a holiday came up and we had an extra day off, treasure every one of them, Frank.
Amen, Ron.
So Godzilla was good?
Has anybody else seen it?
I have
Not yet.
I will tell you this: if you're a Godzilla fan, it's a little slow in the beginning, but they do a nice thing of modernizing the story while keeping some of the old Godzilla mythos intact. And I think if you're a Godzilla fan, you'll like it.
All right. There you go.
So.
All right.
I have a few friends who've seen it, and they're very happy with it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a slow build-up, but the last 45 minutes definitely pays off.
Cool.
So,
John,
I think it's worth the fact that they might be able to crack open the franchise again.
Oh, nice.
Wow. That's neat.
Interesting. Yeah. John, what have you been up to, man?
Somebody hit my car at 2:30 this morning.
Well, that's not
That's
good.
about it.
Yeah.
Like a car hit your car, or a person hit your car?
No, a car hit my car, and slightly drunk passersby woke me up and my wife up out of a dead sleep to let me know that someone hit my car.
Nice.
And I take it they took off?
Oh, yeah, they were gone. Although, apparently alcohol makes one of the passersby a detective, because while we were all standing out there waiting for the cops to come, he followed a line of fluid down to the end of the street where the guy had either ditched his car or made it home or whatever. And, apparently, whoever owns that car at the very least got a rude awakening this morning.
Oh, that's good.
That's very good. Yes.
But I'm still without a car, and apparently the entire city of Louisville has all the Enterprise rent-a-cars because we couldn't get one. Right now, so my wife is going to have to ride the local buses tomorrow, which will be real fun for her.
That's too early for everybody to be in town for Memorial Day.
So no graduations or stuff like that, and I have every day off.
No cars in Enterprise, huh?
Yeah, apparently not. And I have every day off, but that's because I'm a degenerate cripple. So there you go.
All right.
That's emphasis on the degenerate, right, John?
Not today. I'm too tired.
For me, it's been pretty uneventful this past week anyway. I'm in between cons now. I'm back on, so I'm kind of in that mode of trying to get myself geared up for the next one and get everything ready and all that stuff. So,
well, I gotta tell you guys, again. I haven't mentioned this, but I did online when you posted the picture.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys all got together, you, John, and Chuck, and that was neat. I think that's the first time the three of you have been together since you all became managers of Comic Related.
It's the first time we've been all together at a con, at least in 4 years.
So there you go.
So
now you're doing Derby City. I just have to warn you, Grant, be careful, because after the third time, the sun's going to melt you.
I'll keep that in mind. But John, it's funny. John mentioned after seeing that photo that he was like, "When did I become the short one?" I have to say, John, I looked back at old photos. Sorry, man, you always been the short one.
Have not.
It's because Brant was always hunched over, John. Now he's getting out a little more.
Yeah,
that's probably what it was. Yeah.
He's gotten self-esteem, and I can't have that. I'm gonna have to beat that out of him or something.
No, because you know why? John always told his wife, "It's all as bad as I've always gotten. I could always say I was better off than Brand. Now look at this."
Yeah, that's true. I did have my 24th wedding anniversary, but this past week. But yeah.
Hey,
don't mention that at all. Yeah.
That's
well,
awesome.
it wasn't much of an anniversary. I'm broke.
No. But still, that's a huge thing. 24 years.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah. Two good ones.
Two good ones?
Yeah, that was the old joke, right?
You had two good marriages together? Yeah.
Joke that. Yeah, I just celebrated my 25th anniversary. Two good ones. Not bad.
Two good ones, yeah. No, I joke about it, but I also firmly believe it again. Knock on wood. If anything happens to my wife, I'm never doing this again. I'm never getting married a second time. Are you drunk?
You got that straight. You got that 100% straight.
Being married it takes effort, dude. Yeah. Anybody listening to this, if you think marriage is easy, you're a fool.
Amen.
And I have a nearly perfect wife,
Mine's the same too, John. Believe me, I will never do this again.
I have a darn near perfect wife, but no damn way am I ever getting married again. Nope. You will have to drug me and drag me to an altar to make it happen again.
That might make an interesting adventure, though.
It could be, yeah, but...
All right, so should we talk some comic book headlines? Get your news here. It's hot off the presses.
Well, it is that kind of podcast.
Gotta do something. Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
No, I want to talk about this other stuff.
We'll talk about food headlines. How about that?
Go get your daughter on the line. She's got a psychology degree now, or one of those P-word degrees. Let's work on that. Let's work on this for a while.
But she's smart enough to say she ain't getting married for a while either. So
well, there you go. Smart kid.
I give her creds for that, believe me.
That is smart. All right, so segueing into this very clumsily, as is tradition here on Zone 4, the Batman vs. Superman movie finally got an official title.
Talk about unfortunate.
Dawn of Justice, yes.
Dawn of Justice.
What did you say, John? I'm sorry.
I said talk about unfortunate.
Yeah. Or on the nose. Very obvious title there. Dawn of Justice.
Call it Justice League. Why even... But Dawn of Justice. So every Superman movie and Batman movie that came prior to this where they dispensed justice, what was that? Like the... The Twilight of Justice? No, that's...
There you go. I like that.
What is it when the sun comes up? Not twilight. That's go down, but...
That would be dawn, wouldn't it?
That would be dawn, but...
So it's like the night before dawn.
So what comes before the dawn? The night. That would be the night of justice, because the night comes before the dawn, so...
Oh, shoot.
So what we're saying here is stupid title.
Exactly. And I think the entire internet agrees. Go ahead, Frank.
If I may say something, I saw all the hobnobbing about the title, and I think what's going to happen is, because DC is so far behind Marvel, they can put the best title out there. If this movie is going to have to knock it out of the park for everyone to cut them some slack. Yep. They're getting no slack no matter what they're doing right now.
Exactly. And all right. I got two things to say about this. Real quick, first, what is the universal abbreviation for versus, by the way?
VS period.
That's what I thought. The title is Batman v Superman. Dawn of Justice.
So that would be Batman 5 Superman.
Exactly.
Versus is VS. Isn't that 5? It looks like 5, Roman numeral 5.
That's what I would think, yeah. I don't get it.
Batman 5 times the Justice.
I thought it said Batman 5 Superman at first, and then I was kind of just confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go. No, maybe it's a secret they've been trying to keep. We're going to get 5 different Supermans.
Oh.
It's going to be like,
Reign of Superman.
It's going to be like Reign of Superman all over again. We're going to get a Superboy, a Steel. We'll get Eradicator, Cyborg Superman. Maybe they'll dig up Sunshine Superman just to keep it, a little bit diverse.
Hey, you know what? Right now, I'll just, I think everyone's just, I don't care if they have Bonzo the chimpanzee being Superman. Everyone just wants to see the movie if it's going to be good or bad. That's because DC is so far behind. We just want a movie out there.
Exactly. I completely agree.
They could bring Beppo back. Maybe he's going to be one of the Superman.
Well, so did you guys see? Speaking of this movie, did you guys see the comments made by the writer David S. Goyer recently? Or it wasn't it was comments on some kind of podcast, the Script Notes, I think it was called.
Oh yeah, dissing Marvel and She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk and Martian Manhunter too.
She-Hulk is a porn star. That's really nice.
Yeah. And Martian Manhunter, only geeky virgins know who he is. That was his basic comments. So.
Well, maybe geeky virgins that watched
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, exactly. And now introduce that to their children, or those geeky versions that watched 10 years of Smallville might know who he is.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, it's bad enough you're crapping on the other company, but crapping on your own.
Your own?
Yeah.
Even a dog won't shit in its own yard, guys. Okay?
Exactly.
That's a given.
Even a dog won't shit in its own bowl is a better analogy, You don't crap where you eat, pal.
Yeah, I mean, and this guy is like the writer for DC movies right now. I don't get that.
I know.
I don't get it.
Sadly they don't have a big head person like
Kevin
Feige. Like Marvel has, that they can go and just smack him down and say, "Shut it, pal."
Yeah.
There's no Kevin Feige over there going, "Shut the hell up. What are you talking about?"
Yeah. This guy's just, I don't know. I don't know if he just doesn't know, because he also intimated that She-Hulk was created to mate with Hulk, and it's like, okay, dude, they're cousins.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that particular meme online, or not meme, but that particular, naughty piece of artwork online. But I don't think that's really what Stan had planned.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. This guy just came off like a complete jerk and idiot, in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be a retraction thing later saying, no, I meant that on Earth 74, this is what happened. But no, these will be all good movies, and happy shiny things, and DC good, and Warner Brothers tastes like chocolate, and stuff like that.
But moving off of that, let's talk about a movie that doesn't have that controversy behind it now, which we're all excited for, I think. Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you guys see the new trailer?
Yes.
Well, yeah, the new trailer. And then the 7 trailers that led up to the new trailer.
Yeah, it took me about an hour to find the new one, but I did finally find it.
Okay.
Yes.
When did we become a world that trailers?
I know. That was ridiculous. For three straight days, it was actually only 3, but yes, your point well taken. Friday, was it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? I think they released a brand new teaser trailer for the new trailer that debuted on Monday, which a little excessive there, but.
I mean, I'm plenty geeky, but come on.
Were you gonna say something, Frank?
No, I just. You know what? I get it, but you have to love that little inside comment trick when they said this might not be a good idea, since that's taken for the show itself. But you're right. Calling it the second trailer kind of has an asterisk by it.
Yeah, it's like the 5th trailer, but that's not even including the little featurettes. But yeah.
Well, that and sadly, it wasn't even necessarily 3 new trailers.
Yeah.
Or 3 trailers that were unspecific to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They were reusing the same footage.
Right.
They would pop in a little thing here and there. You'd get Rocket going, oh yeah, or someone a flower.
That's why, again, really though, that's why, finally digging through all the mini trailers, to find the new trailer, all right, was at least worthwhile to see this longer trailer with actual new scenes and new dialogue. Because, I mean, one of the things that immediately got me with this thing was where Rocket basically, that supposedly there's a situational scene where, they're going to take on, overwhelming odds and most likely not going to survive. And Rocket goes, well, that's okay. I have a short lifespan anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told this to Brant, but I suppose I should say it in the world as well. I'm a big Bradley Cooper fan. Mm-hmm. Not feeling the voice.
Oh,
I'm hoping when I hear more of it, that it will really draw me in.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm just not feeling that voice for Rocket at all.
Yeah, I was hoping he would alter his voice a little bit.
A little bit, and I hate to say it, but, the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, that Rocket is stuck in my head. And I've never even seen the episode, but I've heard, he's the Star Lord. Give him some respect, or however they did that. And just to hear Bradley Cooper being Bradley Cooper, I'm like, okay, Rocket's hungover. 1, 2, or 3.
So basically, you want Rocket to have kind of like
I want Rocket to have
Brooklyn
something.
accent or something.
Yeah, a little bit. Bradley Cooper's from New York. He went to the New School University, or whichever one they film Actor Studio in.
Yeah,
he should be able to fake that.
That's what.
Oh my God! All of a sudden, I get this image of Rocket with a Bronx accent.
That would be sad.
Yeah. You looking at me? You looking at me? Hey, you looking at me?
Rocket as done by Chris Ventura.
Okay.
I know I'm going to
I'm
get blessed
hoping
as soon as Chris listens to this.
Yeah, I know he's going to comment when he hears that. But, yeah, I'm hoping when we get more than 1 or 2 words out of him,
right.
that it might, try not to get 1 or 2 words out of Chris. Try to just get 1 or 2 words out of Chris. But no, I'm hoping when we get more, like Vin Diesel is Groot, right on board.
I love it.
Yeah, I am Groot. I'm
so excited for this movie.
I am still Groot. No, I'm excited for it. It's just,
No,
I was hoping for something else.
Gotcha. Frank, any comments?
No, I'll be honest with you. If they do this right, this is what, to me, the secret to this show is don't worry about the title. It's a Marvel movie. A lot of people don't know who this group is. Make it a good sci-fi movie. And damn it, if they do it with this, why can't they do it with the Fantastic Four? That would be the secret to making in the next great Fantastic Four movie. Make it a good sci-fi film.
Yeah.
We have 2 words for you. Mark Millar.
Or one other word for you, Sony.
Sony, yeah, or Sony.
I don't think you guys are Grimm Fairy Tales readers.
Nope.
Okay.
I like Once Upon a Time the series.
Okay, yeah, I do too. But I wanted to mention this because it's upcoming in July. Grimm Fairy Tales, which is published by Zenescope Entertainment, is reaching its 100th issue. Yeah, their company debuted in 2005, and so almost a decade later they're getting their 100th issue. And what's interesting about it is it's kind of a fresh start for like new readers. They're going into this age of darkness, and it's kind of tearing everything down. And then they're with issue 101, it's kind of birthing a new status quo or whatever. So people that haven't tried it out can try it out now. Without having to know all that previous knowledge and stuff. And honestly, the stories that they tell are really good. I haven't read a lot of their stuff, but I've read some of the more recent stuff, and it's actually really good stories. So
I agree, and that's why I kind of want them to, and they can do it slowly. That's fine, but I kind of want them to get away from the good girl art.
Covers,
for people who don't know what that means, the booty flash and the breast flash
exactly
covers, because they don't need it. They do good stories.
Yeah.
Now, I'm fine with it if it's contextual. Mm-hmm. But, there's no reason for a cover of Beauty and the Beast for Beauty to be standing there in her underwear. And, Beast has a cloak just about to put it on her.
Yeah, especially because the content inside's not like that.
Yeah, it's not like that at all. And the stories are actually good. And, but they're using TNA to sell their books, which if it was a lesser book, yeah, I would say that, maybe DC needs to use some TNA to sell their books again. but they don't need it. And it's kind of sad that they've kind of fallen into this thing, because a lot of people won't even touch Zenescope.
Yeah.
Because they think, they think they're...
Image, John.
I know, exactly.
Well, let's look at what the feature Comic Relay posted just this past week with what the cosplayers from Zenescope covers.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that and said, okay, what's this all about? And I pulled it up, right? And yeah, it's all these girls are out there half naked playing off of the covers for this comic series. And truth to tell, I mean, you know, not that I've got anything against Beautiful Woman, but it immediately isn't the kind of comic I'm interested in. And that's the impression I'm getting. So unless I'm talking to you or John, people who've actually read the book, I have no clue what's behind those covers. Yeah. That's totally misdirection, you know?
Well, that's the sad thing. I can sort of understand in the beginning them using this as a way to draw attention.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
10 years. You know,
the beginning's over.
and I don't want to sound like a prude. I'm all for naked women. I'm all for naked anybody, you know. If you want to be naked, go for it. If you want to put naked people in your comics, mazel tov. I might even read your book. But they don't need it anymore. Yeah. They should get away from, or, you know, like I said, they could do it subtly and slowly, or, you know, they could make a big jump and go big cover-up issue or whatever, you know. But it's not something they need. It's not something that they need to define themselves by any longer because, you know.
Well, what you're saying now is basically they've probably got an established audience, but they could be expanding it if they started changing that approach a little bit.
Sure, and oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say one more thing, that the fact that they do have such, you know, boob and butt covers kind of turns off some comics retailers because they're thinking, hey, I can't put this on my shelf. I'm going to have some kid's mother calling the cops on me.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, we did talk to Pat Shan not too long ago, and who's he's an editor and one of the lead writers over there. I think they are kind of slowly moving away from that. They do have, like, they usually have like 3 to 4 different covers for their books. They save the super risque stuff for like their convention exclusives because a lot of people buy them there. You know, they're hardcore fans or whatever. So I think eventually they will, you know, kind of tone that down some. I think they already are on some books. But, you know, I do agree. That's one of the things, that was one of the main reasons I didn't pick it up for a long time. And I actually did a write-up on Comic Related last week talking about that, how I was very hesitant to try them out because of that. So, and, you know, they do have solid storytelling, so I would like to see that too. I agree.
Well, solid storytelling, solid art, and
So being as positive as we can congratulate them on their 100th episode. Fairy tales. More power to you.
Very cool. Yeah. So, all right, and that's all the headlines I had. Marvel and DC solicits came out this month. I mean, this week. This month, yeah, of course they did. They came out this week for August. And there were a few things I wanted to bring up, because they just the highlights, interesting stuff that I wanted to get your guys' opinions on. First, we'll talk DC. Multiversity is a new series by Grant Morrison, which is already red flag for me personally, because I'm not a huge fan of his work. But it's an interesting take on DC, I guess. Has 6 new adventures, each set in a different parallel universe. So we're seeing different versions of the characters. And John, I really wanted to get your opinion on this because it kind of lends itself to that whole 52 worlds kind of theory that you have. So maybe, I don't know, if it hints at anything coming, like, you know, full circle or whatever.
Well, you know, I hope it does eventually because, you know, I've long been an advocate that the new 52 is not DC. Mm-hmm. Or at least not the DC that we know. Right. It's one of the 52 parallel worlds that came out of, you know, the last big crisis. Yeah. That DC seemed to have just put aside for a while and not talk about as they were prepping the new 52. What I hope this multiversity thing is going to remind people who aren't, you know, perpetually conspiracy-minded like myself, that there are multiple things out there. You know, there are multiple worlds out there. Right. And that, you know, hopefully they'll be able to bring it full circle and go, oh yeah, this last 2 years, these guys, not the regular DC. And here's the regular DC again, and comics will be good again, we promise.
It's, it's possible. They have this whole Futures End thing that's supposed to end in March, so who knows?
Yeah, which I tried to read the Free Comic Book Day issue of that.
Uh-huh.
Could not get through it.
Really, I really enjoyed it, actually.
I for some reason, it was just like, what are you talking about? I just, it's like, okay, I'm dying, and okay, you're Batman Beyond, but you're with this other Batman. But it's not the Batman you're used to. It's this other Batman who's slightly younger, but is still going to die and become a robot thing.
Well, it was the same Batman from Batman Beyond. He was his mentor.
He looked awful young.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I may have to revisit it, but the whole fact that they all turn into these rolled back, I should say, robot, spider-looking, H.R. Giger-looking things.
Yeah.
It just, it didn't excite me, and it's like, oh, don't do something else dumb, fix everything.
It was 35 years in the future, so they were traveling back. So he was traveling back to fix it to prevent that. That's what the whole thing. It was an OMAC Brother Eye kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would have rather they become OMACs than whatever they became. I'm not sure what those things were supposed to be.
I got to ask Grant, because I didn't get a chance to check this out at all, but what are the 5 canceled titles? Do you have a list handy?
I do indeed. Now, originally they announced 6, and there was actually 6 in solicitations, but I don't know what happened. It was like a day later, DC recanted one of them and brought it back and was like, no, it's not canceled. So who knows what happened there. But the 6 titles are Batwing, which kind of fell off the rails, so I'm not surprised.
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah, Phantom Stranger and Pandora both canceled. The 2 Trinity of Sin titles.
Mm-hmm. Again, no surprise.
Yeah. Birds of Prey, which, that always gets canceled and comes back.
That always gets canceled. God. Okay.
And Superboy.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, well, they are. It may not have been in this list, but they are also canceling All-Star Western.
Okay.
Jimmy Palmiotti's.
Are they canceling it, or is it just getting a new creative team?
Well, it's going to be no more.
Okay.
That's a cancellation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the September cancellation.
Maybe so. I was talking to Jimmy Palmiotti about it on Twitter, and yeah, the book is. They've solicited the last issue of it. I know that. So.
The other title that was originally canceled that they recanted was World's Finest.
Oh, thank you. which is one of 2 comics, DC comics that I get.
Now, Ron, I have to ask you, since you mentioned that, this I think it's the September or October. They are doing a new weekly series called Earth 2 World's End.
Mm. Okay. Weekly series always go so well for them.
It's I guess the universes are colliding. It ties in with all the Futures End stuff and everything. I don't know if Earth 2 is going to last through that. I know all of September's titles are Futures End stuff, and then that weekly series debuts and it runs to March. Are you going to pick it up or try it at all?
I may, because one of the things I find fascinating, again, that's what we're talking about. The only two titles that I get are World's Finest and Earth 2, and I get Earth 2 because of the new version of the Justice Society of America, which I absolutely love. The thing is, when looking through these solicitations, I was intrigued to find out that not only what you just explained about the weekly series, there seems to be some overall plan to use Earth 2 in a much bigger way in the DC universe, because World's Finest number 26, which is part of this August solicitation, is all about. World's Finest has been from day one, Power Girl and the Huntress being thrown out of Earth 2.
Right.
All right. So their entire adventures have been on this other Earth, whatever number it might be. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
As of World's Finest number 26, they return to Earth 2.
Okay.
which means they're going to be there with the new Justice Society.
Yeah.
All right. So again, I'm not one to pick up weeklies, but if basically, like I said, if basically they're shaping up Earth 2 and they're going to keep it around, and I like James Robinson's writing, I like the art, I really like this series a lot. If they're going to support it, and this whole weekly thing is going to be about making it much more relevant to DC Comics as a whole, then yeah, I'm going to be very tempted to pick up those issues.
Gotcha.
Maybe with the popularity of Earth 2, that will become the new kind of seeding ground for, where the stories will follow from here.
Well, I mean, yeah, keep this in mind, guys, okay? Originally, right, I mean, let's go back to the 60s, and I think that this is an important, parallel shift in what's going on here. In the 1960s, prior to, them creating this multiple world, thing that got out of hand on them, we just had, our regular Silver Age superheroes, the Flash, Green Lantern, blah, 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 until, Gardner Fox and editor Julie Schwartz got this idea of bringing back the Justice Society. And the way they did it was, to create the multiverse concept. And all of a sudden, there's the two Flashes on that classic, Flash cover. Mm-hmm. And then from that point on, the Justice Society kept popping up, crossovering with the Justice League once a year. And I was collecting, Justice League at that time. That was always that one issue I always looked forward to. And what they did, if you remember, was, okay, so how do we explain, these fictional characters are real in our world? That's easy. They actually called that other world of the Justice Society's Earth 2.
Right. Which they hated.
Oh, right. So now it's there. It's Earth 2. It's becoming prominent and prevalent. So wouldn't it be just totally ironic and somehow poetically right for them to establish Earth 2 and then from Earth 2 shift us over to the regular DC world, which is Earth 1, and do it, in other words, so here we are in the 60s, in the Silver Age, we've got one Earth, and then we introduce people to Earth 2. What if the whole brouhaha 52 was to flip that on its tail end, so that Earth 2 becomes the primary focus of comics and series and all this, and from it, we go back to the original DC world?
It's possible. I don't know. It's hard to tell what the heck they're doing anymore.
I would have to give them the ultimate slow clap for that, because for them to pull off a coup like that and no one to spill the beans.
Yeah, that's true.
Would be.
Well, see, now, now if Dan Didio's listening to this podcast, I've just given him his out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going to admit that was always their plan all along.
Of course.
Well, yeah, of course.
Frank, you're being awfully quiet.
He doesn't care.
Frank's writing it all down.
Okay. Anyway.
Frank's like, comic books? I'm here to talk about television.
Frank, are you still with us, Frank?
Well, if you're there, speak up whenever you hear us, Frank. So, anyway, the last
like a dog.
Yeah, the last thing I really stood up for me in DC solicits was Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman. It's a digital first title, but the interesting thing about this is it's not tied to the New 52. It's just tales of Wonder Woman like you know her from before. They do this with Adventures of Superman as well, which tells, pre-New 52 stuff. So I thought that'd be interesting for Wonder Woman fans anyway.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So.
And again, another potential out for them to get out of the New 52.
Right. Very true. All right. So, was there anything else you guys noticed or wanted to talk about in the solicits for DC?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Cool. All right. So, moving on to Marvel. I have to laugh about this. Marvel's 75th anniversary magazine.
Here we go again.
Yep.
Even though they celebrated their 50th anniversary 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Marvel, you give me such headaches.
Yeah,
I think this is where the administration got the idea for Common Core.
Exactly. I want everyone to go out there and buy Marvel either a watch or a calendar, because apparently they cannot tell time.
Yeah. Right. And that's the ironic thing, because they used to be called Timely Comics.
Yeah, well, they're timely, all right. They're completely timely off the time range or something.
Yeah, there's something. I don't know. You need to make up your mind whether you're celebrating the foundation of Marvel or the foundation of Timely, because they're two different things there. I mean, I know they're technically the same, but you know what I mean.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, as Marvel, it's only 53 years old, folks.
So Joe can say this is Doctor Who can mess with time, so can we.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Oh, shoot. But
shout out to Gordon out there.
Yeah. But it isn't... Huh? What?
No, I was going to say Quesada's too busy watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before the rest of us get to and talking about it online when he shouldn't.
Yeah. But one thing that is cool about this, it's free, completely free, all ages, and it's 96 pages of content. So, if you're a Marvel fan, you'll probably definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, free is definitely the right price if you're giving me crap like this. But we'll have to we'll have to wait and see.
So, also in August, Superior Spider-Man returns.
Because
Yeah, of course. It's just it's what kicks off this whole Spider-Verse thing coming this fall. Somehow he's still alive, even though Peter Parker's back and walking around as Spider-Man. Somehow Doc Ock Spidey is still there. So we'll learn how in August.
He's been hiding in a closet the whole time.
And finally, Wolverine. The title is ending in August with issue 12 as they do this.
Yeah.
1 month to die. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say so they can start it as another number one yet again.
Oh, sure, of course.
I mean, how many Wolverine series have they had in just the last 10 years? Honestly, come on.
Oh, this has got to be like volume 5, right?
At least.
It has to be.
Now, have you guys seen the flap on the internet about Hugh Jackman?
Yes.
Basically wanting to be in the Avengers.
Yes.
I think he just woke up and realized that these X-Men movies just aren't cutting it.
Yeah.
He turns around and sees what Marvel Studios doing and goes, Wolverine should be in the Avengers.
Yeah,
good luck with that.
Yeah, but wait, I mean the Avengers in the comics.
There I am.
You picked the wrong horse there.
Exactly.
You went with Sony instead.
Yep.
It's kind of that thing. You in a bad movie. There, you.
Yeah.
You chose poorly.
But yeah. So there we go with the solicitations.
Alrighty.
Hello?
Frank!
Yes, Frank!
Finally!
Shady
What the hell?
Back again.
Did you hear anything when you called me last time and I answered?
Not a word.
No.
Took us 20 minutes.
I time traveled.
Yes, you did.
Apparently.
You're now in the future.
Oh, shoot. That was crazy.
But
That's all right. I said only the high technical expertise and equipment here at Zone 4.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, what are we up to now?
We're up to Facebook shoutouts.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to say about the DC and Marvel stuff?
We're talking about Dawn of Justice?
No, we're way beyond that. The
How long ago did you
Dude,
drop
I've been
off?
Listen, I've been off for about 25 minutes. So you guys have probably covered anthems.
Wow. No.
Hey, let me put it this way. Right now, Marvel can crap on people they wouldn't care because they've been doing so well, and DC needs to do a lot of catching up. How's that sum everything up?
There you go. Perfect.
What about the comics? The solicitations? Did you hear it? Yeah, obviously.
Now, who cares? You know what? Who cares about comics anymore? Because it's all about the movies now.
Oh God. Well, that.
So now what are we talking? So now what are we talking about next?
That brings us up to Facebook shoutouts.
Yay!
And Ron, You have the honor this week.
All right, and hang on because you guys are in for a ride. Okay.
All right.
I sincerely mean that. Sincerely.
Okay, I'm in an enclosed room in my chair, but I will prepare for a ride.
I hear thunder.
Here we go. Darren Lemire. All right.
Darren Lemire.
All right. Darren Lemire is a lifelong pulp fan. His first stories were about Sherlock Holmes Jr. His mom still has them in a box somewhere. Ask her. At 8 years old, he discovered Doc Savage, and after hearing Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast, fell head over heels for the radio shadow. He later discovered Walter Gibson's novels. To his dismay, Lemire was sidetracked in the 80s by forays into hair metal. He'd like to say he spent the 90s in an absent haze, but that would be myth-making. He lives with his beautiful wife, Emily, and two equally beautiful daughters, Ella and Sophia. They don't seem to mind that Daddy spends an inordinate amount of time in the basement, clacking away on the laptop and trying to keep up with the shadowy conspirators with whom he collaborates. Lemire writes every day. In the old days, he used to write on illegal pads and hand me down old Vetty typewriter. His children don't know what a typewriter is. When he tries to tell them, they just shake their heads and laugh. They do that a lot, actually. Lemire's love affair with pulp coalesces in his character, Diogenes Raw, a pulp comics movie fanboy who is half fiction on his father's side. Diogenes Raw makes his living pulling fictional characters into our world. A rogues gallery of slinky dames and Latin-jawed tough guys fill in Raw's dramatis personae. Diogenes Raw travels between our world and the world of fiction, trying not to lose his way. Lemire's influences are wide-ranging, from Stephen King to James Joyce, from Ross MacDonald and Jim Thompson to Lord Byron and Robert Town. He lives and writes in Illinois. And guess what, guys? I got that all off of the back of his book. Okay. Because, hey, you're doing a shout-out, and just go to the About the Author page. Darren Lemire, who actually writes under the name of Joseph Lemire, last year published a book called Dramatis Personae, Public Domain, which was published by our good friend Tommy Hancock and his new pulp venture, Pro Se Press. I just pulled it off of my library shelf. When I saw his name, Brant sent it along for the shout-out. Great guy, is a superb writer, and in the show notes, we will include the link to Dramatis Personae for anybody interested in picking it up. Please do. He's a really, really talented writer. He's just done a sequel off the tip of my tongue. I don't know what the title of it is yet. It just came out. And he told me that if I said nice things about him on the shout-out, I'd get a free copy in the mail. So,
nice.
So there you go, Darren.
There you go.
Hey, this is the kind of class loyal legionnaires we have here at Zone 4. So if you are a writer, a sculptor, a movie maker, a Pulitzer Prize winner, and you just have to become a member of the Zone 4 Legion, how do they go about doing that, Brant?
All you have to do is head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Zone4Podcast, hit the like button, and we will shout you out on the show.
Especially if you offer to bribe us.
Exactly.
With
always good.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the first questions Darren asked me when I told him he was getting a shout out tonight was, how the hell did that happen?
Well, now you know.
I think he hit the like button by mistake. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we tripped and chose you.
Yeah, exactly.
Too late now, Darren.
I can see him showing his kids a typewriter, and they're like, "Where's the screen?" No, no screen. You put paper in it. Paper.
Paper. What's
paper?
paper?
I don't get it.
No lie. I talk to my grandkids. The ones that are in high school or younger, and they have no clue about not having smartphones and not having the internet and not having DVRs. And, it's like, oh, gee, Gramps, you really lived in the olden days, didn't you?
I must have too, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with any of that stuff either. So.
We were made of hardy stock in those days. That's
right.
There you go.
Oh, shoot. All right, so with that, it is topic time.
Topic time. It's topic time.
Topic time! Yahoo!
And thankfully, we have Frank back for this.
Yes!
So we
Amen.
Yeah,
So we're just going to sit back for the next half hour and let Frank take it away.
Okay.
Go, Frank, go.
We're going to talk about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season finale and the entire season 1 in general. So, Frank, actually, we will let you kick things off here. What did you think about it?
Overall, I give the overall season a solid B, with the second half picking up the first half.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the finale, and I'm not trying to echo sentiments of Bill Gladman here, I was a little disappointed in the ending when compared to the other parts of the second half. You know what? I got Bill through S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm glad I did. But there is a zany, complete 180 difference between the second half and the first half. And not to go into the different nuances, but it's not so much that the story was better. It's like they almost didn't have a story for the first half. They were slow getting into it. And to me, the second half was more emotional. The lines weren't. It seemed like the first half was kind of like an 18 type thing where the characters are kind of speaking hokey lines. They're going through the motions. Yeah, there's Centipede and a few tidbits here or there. There was one or two good episodes, mainly the one with Graviton, that episode. But then the second half just kicked into gear. And just not so much because the title was Captain America, but the story was tight. You know, everyone liked Saxon as Garrity. I'm sorry, Saxon Paxson. That's a group, actually. You know, they were smart with the Asgardians. Just a whole different world in the first half. That being said, the finale, like I said, was a little off point compared to the energy and the emotion of the second half. They had a few good little quick quips in there, like what happened to Garrett at the end, that little bit. A few other things. I think it was a strong rebound, and I'm actually looking forward to the second season, although I'm totally perplexed what they're going to do with Ward. I have no idea. All
right, so I'm leaning more towards Frank on the finale. So, John, I'm going to let you take it here because I know you were chopping at the bit to talk about this, and you feel differently. So,
yeah, 2 weeks ago, but no.
Sorry.
No. Actually, I really enjoyed the finale. I will agree the little bit with Garrett. I'm sorry, it's been 2 weeks. If you haven't watched the thing by now, I'm spoiling. So step away from your computer if you haven't seen it.
Right.
Okay, having Garrett get blown up for a joke, I was a little, that wasn't the best for me.
Right.
I was a little taken aback by that. Although it was a funny joke, I will give him that. It was a good joke, But yeah, I thought that was a little dismissive, especially being, all that he's done so far. Now, I really enjoyed a lot of the beats here. I really enjoyed the how Fitz stepped up for Simmons in the rescue, and definitely put his life on the line for her there. I really like how the May and Coulson situation has mostly gotten figured out, and that they're kind of a team once again within the team. I was really digging the old S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff from I can never remember this guy's name, but I want him to stick around. But the new recruit they got off of Garrett's team, but
Trip,
there you go. His old S.H.I.E.L.D. tech from his grandfather. Mm-hmm. Who was one of the Howling Commandos, for people who didn't know the series. I really love that, and I hope that stuff shows up in Agent Carter. I really enjoyed that stuff a lot. Other than that, I was really mostly satisfied with the whole thing. I see it's following kind of a certain logic here, with making Coulson director, quote unquote, now.
Yeah.
Now, he's obviously going to be director from the bus.
Sure.
He's gonna stay on the bus, obviously, and the team is going to kind of be autonomous for the most part, until Coulson starts to rebuild it on his own. The reveal of the second Patton Oswalt character.
LMD.
LMD, yeah, I was thinking LMD or clone on that one. Really, that was another thing that kind of made me laugh out loud. And, I live tweet these things, and I even live tweeted Patton Oswalt going, WTF, dude? Did not see that coming. Really, really enjoyed that. Other than that, I was ultimately satisfied. And, I'm one of those people who has long been in the camp that this series has been great from the beginning. It was a slow build, definitely. But, given that they had to establish their corner of an already very crowded universe, I thought they did it amazingly. And, I'm looking forward to kind of getting a few things answered that we never got answered. They always said the whole thing about Tahiti, that was never we've been given a lot of clues, but that has never been successfully answered for me. Okay. Sadly, as far as Ward goes, the only way I can see him redeeming himself now, even though I think he redeemed himself a bit with the fact that he put Fitz and Simmons off the bus, rather than just killing them outright, or attempting to kill them outright. There was a bit of redemption there, but I think the only way he's going to be able to redeem himself now is to die. To either die and be brought back, or just to straight out die, heroically in service of the team. Because, it's got to even occur to him now that with Garrett gone, Hydra isn't looking so great right now, even though they still run most of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they still have a lot of other stuff going on. The fact that you've got this kind of, resistance team going on here, and that's slowly building up, and that took out the head of, took out one of the main snakes in this head, so they're really going to have to come up with somebody spectacular to replace Garrett.
Yeah.
As kind of the head of Hydra, quote unquote. And then, really my only thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now is they need to quit using these euphemisms that they came up with so as not to spoil anything anymore. Let's call things what they are. Let's call them Hydra. Let's call them AIM.
No,
enough of Centipede and enough of, whatever else. Let's call them AIM. Let's call them Hydra scientists. I'm looking forward to seeing MODOK pop up one of these days. So, other than that, I encourage people, even though the series is over, there has been a thing blowing up on Twitter called Mayisms. And I've actually written a few that Ming-Na has retweeted, and then about 100 of Ming-Na's minion close followers, hangers-on, whatever you want to call them, tends to retweet those. Nice. Saying, for example, the most recent one being, if Agent May had been on the Titanic that night, it would have been a very different story involving a lot of ice cubes. And then it uses the hashtag Mayisms. Stuff like that. I encourage people to go out and, start doing these Mayisms as something to kind of hold you over until the show comes back. Yeah. Really, other than that, I can't think of, like I said, we are a little ways out of it, and my enthusiasm has somewhat waned, but just because it's not right in front of me. Go ahead.
Something that John I don't want to make it sound like that the finale was total. I do love the fact that they identified Coulson as an Avenger when Coulson was arguing with saying that this was supposed to be for an Avenger, and he said it was. I thought that was the best part of the finale.
Yeah. That was touching.
For me, okay, first the positives. The things I did like about it, a lot of things you said, John, I liked Fitz and Simmons, their part. I liked how everything got resolved, and all the little plot points, or at least most of them, got wrapped up, and they really set the stage for the next season going forward with a few hints throughout. I did really appreciate that. I personally actually liked the Samuel Jackson stuff because I only expected him to be in a cameo, and he was there for a good portion of the episode.
Oh, I love that part. Yeah.
So I was pleased with that. I love the thing that you just mentioned, Frank, with the calling him an Avenger and everything, and Coulson having his little shouting match where he just kept saying the same thing over and over again. That was funny stuff. But I don't know. For me, I think the episodes leading up to the finale were stronger, in my opinion. And so I was a little bit underwhelmed once we got to the actual finale.
Right.
And I don't know what exactly I was expecting. I wasn't expecting like some huge thing or some giant cliffhanger or whatever. I don't know what I wanted, but it wasn't there, whatever it was, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love the show. I've always been a fan of the show. I'm one in the camp where it says, where we say that it was purposely a slow build, and it all made sense and all came together the way it was supposed to, in my opinion. So I've always been on board with it. I definitely didn't hate the finale. I wasn't blown away by it like I wanted to be. And the whole thing with Garrett, for me, that was complete cheesy. I didn't like it. I thought even just I know it's like low budget, it's TV, it's ABC, but even just like when he got the robotic parts, I felt like I could go to like Dollar General store and put that together myself. It just looked really cheap. And then the whole
could have.
Yeah, the whole blowing up thing, it was just, I don't know. I didn't care for that part. What I did really like was that they had like 3 different prologues on this episode.
Yeah.
And the last one, where when Garrett was dying, he had mentioned to Coulson, I know you saw it too, talking about this code or this, alien language, whatever it is that he was writing. And Coulson just looks at him, and then, it kind of goes on from there. Then in that last prologue, we see Coulson writing the same stuff on the wall. And I thought that was really interesting. So
that was definitely leaving it open for the next thing. And something subtle, it wasn't in the finale, but it was one of the, it was one of the lead-up issues where you had a Hill come back.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And help him out, and now she's working for Stark. And I can very much see, I think of everyone, Stark will kind of get it when he finds out that Coulson, had to lie about, or, didn't immediately come out and go, hey, I'm back, hello.
Yeah.
I think he'll be one of the ones to, go, oh, I get it, I understand, yeah. And then that leaves it open for, a potentially good episode.
Yeah, and I do want to get your thoughts on this, Ron, too. I just want to say one thing that really piques my curiosity is how this plays into the overall cinematic universe, which we can talk about in a minute. So, Ron, what did you think of the episode?
I loved it.
Of course you did.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It hasn't diminished in my opinion since watching it. Look, all you guys make a lot of valid points, and like any episode that you're going to see, and you can cherry pick anyone out of the entire season. Each episode had high points and low points, and I would basically side with you on some of the low points. The whole thing of blowing up Garrett to me was funny. Okay, this is the bottom line. I laughed. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize it because it got a laugh out of me. All right. I think the hour was intense, and the thing I was looking forward to was the resolution of this season. Garrett's the challenge, Ward's the betrayer. We need to defeat them, but you can't give away and you can't solve all the other problems. That's why you have a season 2 and a season 3. So in that regard, this episode satisfied all I wanted to see it satisfy. Garrett was stopped. Ward was caught as a prisoner. Okay, let me touch on some of the things you guys brought up and my take on this. All right, number 1, who's going to be the major villain next year? We've already seen him. There were 3 epilogues this episode, and you forget the next to last one before Coulson's up there doing the alien script writing. And note, the alien script writing has to do with the alien which he got a transfusion from.
And thank you for correcting me saying epilogue, by the way.
You're more than welcome. Here's the thing. The epilogue before that one showed us next season's major Hydra villain, Sky's father.
Ah, you're right. I forgot
you guys
about
all about that. Okay? Who is Sky? What? We've already been given clues this season that she's more than what she seems. Mm-hmm. All right? And that flower goes to him and tells him that Sky's all right. She hasn't been hurt. So now we have a major villain. And his hand comes out and it's brutally scarred, horribly burnt or whatever. Who is this character? All right? And here's my take on how this connects with our Judas Ward. He is coming back, guys, as a villain. There's no redeeming him. He doesn't need to be redeemed. He is a villain. And next season, he is going to be the new mysterious villain's henchman, right-hand man, and going up against his former teammates again. He's such a complex character that I absolutely love him, and I have to believe the writers are going to have a field day with him because he's going to be that enemy that they still have emotional ties to. So there's no way this actor's leaving or this character's leaving this series. But it isn't ever going to be about his being redeemed as much as him being that ambiguous gray villain they fight all the time. And that's what I see happening with Ward. Now, looking at this entire, again, one of the elements, again, which satisfied me to no end. Ward comes up against Sky. Right? And she's got a gun on him. And he goes, so what? You're going to shoot me? And Sky looks at him and she goes, oh, you're going to get yours, but it ain't going to be from me. And he looks at her and she goes, no, it's the person you slept with. And she's pissed. And out of nowhere, nice. May shows up. And that fight was a brilliant piece of it was, I was cheering. I was up. She beat the living crap out of him. Yeah. Finally, all right.
That was
it's
nice.
Like you don't mess with this woman.
Yeah, she did.
Right.
And the best line.
So there you go. All right. I mean, hey, look, on and on, and then and just to underline the points that you guys all made. All right. Again, Fury's role was a lot bigger than just a cameo. All right. I absolutely loved how Fitzsimmons comes out of the water. And there's his hand reaching out to save her, okay? And that whole bit with what's his name, Fitz, trying to sacrifice himself to save her was absolutely touching. It was beautiful. It worked, exceptionally well. The tight between Coulson and Fury towards the end, Fury calling him an Avenger, all those things, brilliant writing. And now, it's only fitting. Coulson is going to be the guy who rebuilds S.H.I.E.L.D. All of that. I mean, this is a stellar episode. But what really appeals to me about it, gentlemen, and the fitting capstone to this season is that you have to sit back and look at the entire season. And here's what I recommend to folks out there who are still ambivalent about, well, the first half was weak and the second half after. You know what? This whole thing was planned from the start. It was never haphazard. The fact that Deathlock is a major part of the finale, again, something, you guys, that element you didn't talk about. Mm-hmm. Deathlock was in episode 1.
Yep.
This entire series, every episode was carefully planned. That first half was a setup to Winter Soldier where they knew they were going to take a sharp left turn and blow us all away. But they couldn't rush to get there. It was a whole build-up thing. And again, Josh Whedon is such a meticulously crafted writer. His scripts are very complex, but he knows what he's doing. And it just works. So that what I would say is, if you have ever gone to a film and watched it, come out of the theater and said, it was all right, and then 4 or 5 months later you go and you buy the DVD. You come home and you watch it a second time. And all of a sudden you start seeing things maybe you didn't catch the first time. Yeah. And then you start liking it a little bit more and a little bit more. Well, that's my recommendation to the fans out there and even my fellow hosts here. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be the first guy to go out and buy Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1 when it comes out on DVD. And I am going to really treat myself to watching this a second time from beginning to end, because I guarantee you will see all kinds of little threads, little throwaway lines, little building things that Whedon and his writers put together when they wrote this thing, from the first episode all the way to the end. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of the top shows on television. I think it's creatively masterful, and man, I cannot wait for season 2, especially now that we're going to have Agent Carter intermixed with season 2. So that's my take. There you go.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, and also in retrospect, we always complained about the, where they would have gaps between episodes, or where it ran headlong into the Olympics, or stuff like that. Looking back in retrospect, that, it landed almost even with Winter Soldier.
Oh,
yeah, that was definitely a plan. Yeah,
that had to be in some way planned. And one other thing that I really loved when you referenced the fight, May's incredible line in that fight, where she said, "You were never on top."
Yeah.
And it was just like that. That was one of those. You almost wanted to become like, like those girls on the street going, "Ooh, snap!"
Yeah.
Burn. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yep. That was such a payoff. That fight scene was such a payoff. It was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was really good. And I really did want to actually rewatch it before this show, but I didn't get a chance to. So, because I kind of felt like maybe, I would feel differently. But I will take your recommendation. I will watch it again. Absolutely.
I think so. And I can't wait to see the extras they pile on DVD. I hope that they're going to.
Please.
Yeah, I hope that they're going to do the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, justice by piling on history and all this other stuff that's just going to make it that much richer.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to have the writers come on and do commentaries per episode, and then see them talking, especially about the logistical problems we just talked about, John, what you just said about scheduling. Knowing the Olympics were coming up and how they had to hit certain, beats during the season, which each subplot, all leading up to Winter Soldier. Logistically, that had to be a bloody ass nightmare.
Oh, definitely.
And they pulled it off. They totally pulled it off.
Because, to do that to a freshman show, to make that many gaps in the middle of a freshman show, that, when you have gaps, you lose people, you lose viewers.
That's right. And, happens all the time.
Yeah, and that that they did it, and they were able to keep it. That they were able to keep the show together and on the air and all this other stuff. It's a lot of credit to them.
Now, how do we feel that this is going to affect the cinematic universe as far as the movies go? Because, keeping in mind that the next Earth-based Marvel movie we're getting is next summer. And, season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be, done by then. So,
right.
Well, okay. Look, again, this is something that I've been talking to a lot of my friends about, too. I think everybody who, is in on the movies and the TV series, this will definitely have reverberations. In what films? The next Earthbound film is actually Ant-Man.
Right.
Okay? How closely related that's going to be to the Avengers, it's difficult for any of us to say right now. All right? It could end up being a very standalone kind of film for the Marvel Universe. We'll see when that happens, all right? Whereas my solid guess is that we're going to come back to season 2. S.H.I.E.L.D's going to be built up. We're going to see a progression of Coulson and his team recruiting newer agents. Don't be surprised if we start seeing more cameos like, Maria Hill, Agent Carter, meaning Agent 13, who was in Winter Soldier.
Right.
It's conceivable some of these people will show up in season 2, if for no other reason than to lead us up to Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Which I think it'll tie right in. I think what they're going to do is plan out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., to be a big, once again, build-up to Avengers 2. That's my thought on that.
Obviously Avengers 2 is going to be pretty stacked with, the inclusion of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch and everything. Are we going to see S.H.I.E.L.D. in that movie at all? And if we do, is it just going to be Coulson and some underlings?
Well, you'd have to believe, guys, that we'll see Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Anytime the Avengers, will get together eventually, somehow or other, Fury will be involved.
Yeah.
For sure. How much that's going to incorporate Coulson? Again, let me again bring that up. If they're smart enough to bring in some elements for, to lead up, to get the fans excited about Avengers 2, then it would be very smart for them to show, like I said, Agent 13 and some of the other recognizable S.H.I.E.L.D. agents pop up in the TV show. Right. So segue into the series. And again, I'm not at all surprised if we don't see Coulson and Fury both in Avengers 2.
Yeah. Cool.
I think they're going to do it, but it's going to be very peripheral throughout the series. It's kind of the same way it was in the first season. I mean, of all the characters in Thor, Sif is probably one of the more peripheral characters. Right. Short of going to his Thor's mom or something. But Sif is, of all the action characters there, Sif is kind of one of the more peripheral, that's not even a word, peripheral characters. So I think they'll continue to do that. They'll probably do Agent 13 because she's peripheral.
Right.
She has connection, but she's not a major connection to anything.
No, but she's part of that. She's still part, as we saw in Winter Soldier, John.
Right, she's still part of it.
She's still part of the good S.H.I.E.L.D.
It would kind of be brilliant to bring her in as they're leading up to the mid-season finale and kind of, reference Agent Carter.
Right, and they probably will. They probably will. And they'll probably bring her in as, part of the good S.H.I.E.L.D. and part of the S.H.I.E.L.D. that'll probably show up in the movie. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure that they'll bring Coulson back for the movie. They should, but I'm not 100% sure they will. Because I think they're trying to walk down two roads right now. One, they're trying to create their own little part of the universe.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're also still trying to have those interconnections with the overall major universe.
Right.
Now, I don't think you'll see like Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, or anything like that pop up prior to Avengers.
Right.
Because I think that would very much dilute their appearance in Avengers.
Right.
Agreed.
But, we may see, we may hear something about Stark's Jarvis software being stolen.
Yeah,
or something like that. Maria will show up and say, "Yeah, we've got a major problem at Stark. The Jarvis software, the Jarvis AI, or however they're gonna promote that, has been stolen." And she might go to the team for a little bit of help there.
Yeah. No, I gotta tell you, if I had a dream cameo between season 2 of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Avengers 2. It would be Rick Renner's Hawkeye.
Yeah, and you know what? But that's doable, though, because he's not that he's not an important figure, but he's on S.H.I.E.L.'s level. It's not a lot of special effects.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And I'll tell you something. The neat thing about this is what Marvel's going to open up, and it's one of the few entities that can do it. It's going to be nice to see the fact that the universe on the S.H.I.E.L.D. universe on TV will reflect the subtle nuances of what's going on in the movie universe.
Yep.
And they can take it in different ways, and also they can further explain things that maybe what the movies are able to explain at the time by taking it further.
Yeah,
of course. Right, you've got a 2-hour movie. That's all you can tell in that story. But then you pick up on it on the series, and you've got another 8 hours to continue a narrative.
Yeah, just like they did with Winter Soldier. The whole S.H.I.E.L.D. falling apart.
Right. So here we go. Right. Like I was saying, we're talking about you're going to go to Walmart or Target, and there's going to be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1, and right next to it will be Captain America: Winter Soldier. Well, who's crazy enough not to buy both of them?
Yep.
Right. And knowing Target, Walmart, and those guys, they might very well try to package them together.
Yep.
As they should.
If they're smart, yep.
If they're smart, yeah.
It's exciting to be a comic fan. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that is one thing. It's actually a good time to be someone who likes comics and films and things of that nature.
Amen. I mean, hey guys, 1961, I was 13 years old, saw the Silver Age being born, all right? And, if I could go back in time, Doctor Who lend me his TARDIS, I can go back in time to that kid sitting up, the wee hours of the morning reading his comic books and whisper and say, hang in there, they got movies like that are going to blow your minds. There's no way I could have ever conceived of what we're enjoying today. It's amazing.
I think it speaks volumes that we're at a point now where you're actually reading articles talking about the possibility that there's comic book fatigue now because there's 3, 4, 5.
There's too much, yeah.
Yeah, there's 3, 4, 5 movies. So you never thought you'd ever see that.
Right, and you know what my answer to that is, Frank? All right, is that comic fans needn't worry because what's happened in the last 10 years is basically all that's happened is simply established a movie genre, the comic book hero movie. Okay? I mean, we've had mystery movies. We've had romantic movies. We've had spectacular summer blockbuster movies. We've had, again, like I said, fantasy movies and dramas and whatever. And add to that mix now the comic book hero movie. And I don't think it's a case of it'll ever diminish. Because, like, in any given year, we have X number of action movies come out with Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Jason Statham, okay? Some are good, some are bad. And Hollywood goes along with that. Nobody ever sits down and goes, oh, man, we've got too many action movies. Or we've got too many romantic comedies.
Right.
No, we're not going to ever have too many comic book movies. Some will be good, some will be bad. But they're established. That's a given.
Yeah,
I agree
too.
Yeah, you'll never hear, sadly, oh no, not another Expendables movie.
Although, let me ask you, Ron and John, this question, because I already talked to Brain about this. Isn't it kind of weird that the Fox movies, after watching Spider-Man 2 compared to Cap, that there's a distinct difference in feel of the films between Fox and Marvel. Do you guys disagree or agree?
Oh, completely agree.
Oh, completely, because the Marvel movies are good, and everything that Sony Fox is putting out is crap.
I wouldn't say that.
And a bastardization of the characters.
Okay. And look, in boiling it down to its bare essences, Frank. And it's what I feel. To me, it's that divergence between the Marvel Studios and DC. All right, up until Marvel Studios got a hold of their own properties and became a producer to do their own films, you had outside companies, Sony and whatever, basically taking comic book characters and going, well, we can't really do this like the comic book. So how are we going to adapt it for adults in the movie-going audience? Blocking and screwing these properties until Marvel Studios came along and said, you know what? We're going to make them like the comic books. This is what the fans want. This is what we'll give them. Now, granted, you still have to change some things because of a different media and that whole concept. But for the most part, Marvel Studios has stayed so perfectly attuned to the essence of the comic books. All right? DC can't do that. They give them to Warner Brothers, and they make them into other things. And Sony with X-Men and Spider-Man have that same Hollywood mentality. They just missed the point, which is what Kevin Feige and his crew at Marvel Studios latched onto brilliantly, all right? This is what the fans read. This is what they want to see on the screen.
Yeah. I still enjoy some of the movies they put out. I enjoyed the first Spider-Man. I haven't seen the second one yet, but I agree with that. It's the Marvel Studios movies are just, like you said, Ron, completely faithful to the comics, and they do so in a way that's both a tribute to comic fans that want to see their characters up there, but also appeals to a mainstream audience. Whereas the the Fox and Sony stuff, and even the Warner Brothers stuff, is just, it's more catered to the mainstream.
Right. That's their appeal. They're still big movie houses, and they're not getting that. They're just, okay, well, we have to do this for the general audience. When what they're failing to understand is, for the most part, the general audience today are people like you and us.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Well,
people know comics today. People read comics, and I mean, they're being taught graphics in grade schools. Come on, Hollywood, wake up, okay?
yeah, I mean, honestly, my take on it is that Marvel makes their characters likable. They really make their characters someone that you want to spend 2 hours with. Even, with the arrogance of Tony Stark in the very beginning, that changed so dramatically within that film. Mm-hmm. Now, conversely, you take, and I know Brant hates it when I say this, but conversely, you take the most eminently likable Marvel character in the world, Spider-Man, and you make him a whiny, pitiful little punk, and then you don't even put him in the costume for the first part of the movie. Honestly, the Amazing Spider-Man is the most unlikable character I've ever seen in a comics movie.
I disagree with that.
No, I know you do, but it just,
John,
I hated every minute of it, and it made me long for Tobey Maguire, which should tell you something is very wrong with that movie.
Well, but that's the same idea. That's the same idea with DC, all right?
I agree completely.
But what Snyder did with Superman. All right? I mean, Superman's supposed to be the classic American Boy Scout. He's supposed to be the guy you look up to, who's always optimistic, who always figures a way to do it, who's always an inspiration. And what we get this angst-ridden, alien who, A, lets his father die in front of his own eyes.
Right.
And then turns around and can't figure out how to defeat Zod without breaking his neck.
And, well, no, actually, I agree with the neck break. But the thing with Pa Kent, he shouldn't have even had his time to put his hand up and say no.
Right.
He should have gotten him that quick.
Exactly.
And the fact that movie, and I actually like the movie as a whole, but the fact that it was destruction porn. They decimated Smallville. They decimated a big chunk of Metropolis, killed more people than the Kryptonians were even threatening to kill.
Right.
That was a real problem for me as a Superman movie. But I agree with the next snap totally. That was the only way he was going to stop Zod. Okay. And the fact that he was so broken up over it at the end was completely believable to me. What wasn't believable to me was the destruction porn, the whole thing with Lois Lane. Really no reason for her to be anywhere on that Kryptonian ship. And for her to be interacting with Jor-El.
Well, I mean, yeah, I won't argue the narrative point, but all I got to tell you is I think Amy Adams was the best actor in the film.
No, I agree. I liked her. I liked her just as a story point. Did not make sense
you're right.
to me.
You're right. I agree.
Yeah.
That's illogical. And
yeah.
You know what? I got to tell you this, though, John, because you bring it up, okay? And one of the classic, really, really hallmark things about the classic pulps in the 1930s was the Spider novels, whereas it was a monthly, okay? So you're going to get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So in every issue of the Spider, he would face some insidious, powerful, mad villain who would destroy half of New York and kill thousands of people, okay? And then the next month, everything was back to square one again.
Right, exactly.
All right? There's no destruction. Everybody's okay. And another mad fiend would come along. So what I'm telling you is what we saw Metropolis literally decimated in front of our eyes. All right, guarantee when Superman Batman comes out, it'll be brand spanking new, no construction going on any place, like it never happened.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder if Danger Control also works for DC.
That Metropolis is the richest city in the world.
Yeah, well, that too. Well, and just story points of Perry White and the female Jimmy Olsen, don't get me started, actually outrunning the dropping of a building. Yeah, a few issues there. But yeah, it all goes back to what you were saying is, I thought that the prior Superman movie was a lot more, I mean, even though it was
terrible?
No, well, hold on. Even though it was humping Superman 2 so hard that they should have been married. But the fact that, it was a much more likable Superman. It was a much more engageable Superman. This Superman really had a hard time getting engaged with him.
Yeah.
Really had a hard time getting, even though on a lot of beats I agree with him, I actually liked the parts where he was, the formative year stuff. Because let's face it, this movie stole and screwed up Mark Waid's Superman Birthright.
Yeah.
Now, if they had filmed Superman Birthright, much better film.
Well, right. And if Marvel would have been doing it, that's exactly what they would have done.
Would have exactly done that. But, it's that mentality that you said. It's that mentality that turns Galactus into a big fat cloud.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Instead of, a gigantic guy with a horn helmet. But,
I'll give you that, yeah.
Oy.
I don't know. But yeah.
But there's that.
There's the long answer to your question, Frank.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I would have done that. I wish I would have done that when I went off the air for 20, 25 minutes. I could listen to John go on like that for a while.
Hey, I could do another half hour on it. I honestly could. But I'm not.
No. We'll save that for another week.
Save it for a future episode, John.
Yeah, no doubt. It's John just talking, and the rest of us going in the background.
Save it for the Dawn of Justice movie.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like,
I'm sure.
And from the opening sequence, this is what was wrong with it.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Sure. All right, but for this episode, I think that's going to wrap us up, guys. So we will go around the table and see what everybody has coming out, and going on. Frank, we'll start with you.
You know what? The only thing I got going on, I will see John and Brant at Derby City in June, and that's really about it right now. We're also planning, besides our next Rain Man episode, which Brant and I will talk about at some point in time, I got Derby, and we're still playing for Champion City October 11th. That's about it for me.
Very cool. Looking forward to seeing you. Ron?
Okay, Airship 27 Productions just released its newest title a few days ago, and it's a new Green Llama anthology called The Green Llama Mystic Warrior, Volume 1, with stories by, let's see if I can do this, Peter Miller, Kevin Noel Olson, Nick Allum, and Robert Craig. And if you are not familiar with the Green Llama, he was a classic pulp hero from the 1940s who also had his own radio program at the same time, and a really fun character. These are, brand new stories, and the book is now available at Amazon.com, both in hardcover and on Kindle. Press release and the cover for the book I submitted to Comic Related a few days ago, so you should have the links in the show notes. There you go.
Awesome. Very cool. John?
Well, someone hit my car. Oh, wait, we already did that part. No, I'm actually beginning to work with an old friend of ours, Dave Arhar, who he himself had to step away from comics for medical reasons for a while. And he's ready to get back in the saddle, and we're going to be doing some stuff together. In addition to that, I've been contacted by the folks at Archaea who are still doing the Steampunk Originals anthology book about a story I submitted a long time ago. called Bound for Pangea Island, a.k.a. the Steam Teen Adventures. But our artist kind of flaked out on me, so I've decided to do the whole bloody thing myself, except lettering, which will probably go to Brant. But I've decided to go ahead and do that whole thing on my own, and that will be coming out sometime in September, I think, unless, their deadline explodes. Beyond that, con-wise, of course, I will be at the Derby City Comic Con, probably running right behind Chuck, making sure his head doesn't explode, or, conversely aiming at his head, one or the other. And then Comic Related will, as always, be at Gem City. In addition to that, there's a new con that Chuck has created called the Cavalcade of Comics. Mm-hmm. That is going to be a more vendor specific show, an artist specific show, and that'll be happening in November. And more details of that as they come available. Keep your eye out on DerbyCityComicCon.com. We are in the midst of planning River City Comic Expo Year 2. I had told people to save the date, but that date may not be the date, so you may have to forget that date and remember another date. But right now, that date is the date, but it may not be the date later. So don't get hung up on that date, okay? And there's that. Beyond that, working my rather copious hiney off at Comic Related every day, trying to give all you cats and kittens, there's a 1950s reference for you, something to look at and something to read, and all the news that's fit to copy off of other websites and put on ours with our own little spin. So there you go.
All right. Now,
that was a little nod to Jesse Rubenfeld joking that we were comics aggregators, by the way.
Jesse who now?
Or Jesse, whatever his last name is. I never use his last name. Hey, Ron called Jeremy Renner something else Renner.
I know.
You didn't give him static about it.
It's Jeremy Renner, yes, not Rick Renner.
Jeremy Renner.
I was trying to be nice tonight.
Oh, but you're not being nice to me. Thanks, pal.
Oh,
I've had a rough day,
I know. To further rub salt in that wound, this was actually an honest question because I wanted clarification. Is it Archaea or Arcana?
Monkey shines. I'm not 100%.
There's two different ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they do very different books.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm going to say it's Arcana, and I misspoke.
Okay.
Not 100% sure of that, but pretty sure it's Arcana. It starts with an A. Look at the beginning of previews and get off my back.
I just wanted to clarify for our fans that they were going to look for it in September.
Yeah. Look, Steampunk Originals. You'll find the company that makes it. Brian will put it in the show notes correctly because he's going to go research it now.
Yes.
All right.
He has to go research it now. Type, Brant.
Okay.
Type now.
There we go. All right.
Thank you.
All right. As soon as I can compose myself, I'll tell you what's going on for me.
Had a hard day.
We mentioned Zenescope earlier in the show. This last week on ComicRelated.com and ComicFrontline.com, we had Zenescope Week, which was kind of an appreciation. We hope to do that for other publishers in the future as well. There's a hub up on Comic Related. You can find all the stories. Comic Frontline is doing a bonus week this week because they are making, actually tonight as we're recording this, the announcement's probably coming out, that there are going to be 2 live video panels on Comic Frontline this Thursday and Friday. Obviously, by the time you're hearing this, one of them's already passed. But Thursday and Friday of this week, you can go find them on Comic Frontline on YouTube. Speaking with 10 different creators from Zenescope, 5 on each panel. So you can go learn all about Zenescope and what they do there. The Braywall Band, one of the official bands of Zone 4, recently released a brand new music video to their song He's Spider-Man, which I love that theme. I play clips of it on this show all the time. You guys know that. but they made a brand new video tying in with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It has Electro in there and Rhino and all that good stuff. A very fun video, kind of retro feeling. There's an interview with Ray Wall on comicrelated.com conducted by me, talking about the song and you know, all of his music and everything. So please go check that out and support them. And a couple of things, books coming up. A new book from Assailant Comics called Open Tree, Issue 1, Freedom Run, lettered by me, is coming out soon. Hopefully by Derby City is the plan. So we'll see how that goes. We're working on 5 different books at once, so we're trying to get them all done. So we'll see what happens. But it's a supernatural Western tale, so check that out. And finally, I finally have a release date and can announce this book that I'm lettering for Tim Simmons, the creator of Spy 16. He has a new title called Henchman that is going to be released through Monkey Brain Comics. Chris Roberson, who's been on the show before. And it's called Henchman. I think I said that already, but it's pretty self-explanatory what it's going to be about. But that is going to come out on June 18th of this year. So please check that out. Again, lettered by yours truly. So that's what I've got going on. And so that's it. So who wants to read us out this week?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Go do it, John.
Yeah, that wasn't me, dude.
Oh, go do it, Ron.
It's the other.
Thank you, Frank. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Hey.
Yeah, you know, my voice tends to sound like this when I'm reading stuff out.
Okay. Hey, look. We'd like to thank our sponsors once again, Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Zone4Podcast for a free 30-day trial and book download. And for all the latest news on the Derby City Comic Con, go to their website, www.derbycitycomiccon.com. We'd like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Ray Wall Band and Society's Plague that you hear on the show each and every week. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or cookies, or cakes you'd like to send to zone4@comicrelated.com. We could always use a snack while doing the show. We are also proud members of the Comic Related Podcast Network. And as always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, all!
Good night,
Hasta la Vega.
Oh, my. No, sorry.
Oh, my. That was last week.
I know.
I think someone's making fun of Ron.
Swinging on a little thread, shooting spider webs from his hands. On the streets of New York City, he steps out to make a stand. He's Spider-Man.
Since Frank is missing, do you guys need a break?
Yeah, maybe he'll return.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I'm good right now, but go for it.
Yeah, I'm good. Frank, are you there?
Frank.
I think Frank fell asleep on the couch or something.
Frank exploded.
I hope he was on the couch not driving or something. Frank? Frankie. Frankie Beans. Frank. I'm gonna hang up and call him again.
Okay.
I think he got tired of all the DC talk.
Maybe.
He's a Marvel guy.
I will no longer put up with this DC folderol.
That's a shame. We're losing him before the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hello?
Yeah.
Frank? He picked up, but there's no sound.
No sound.
We can't hear a word, Frank. If you can hear us, we can't hear you.
Send up a signal.
Smoke signal. Oh, he's 20 minutes ago he messaged me on Facebook. Hey, I lost you. Brent, you lost me. Brent, hello.
Brent, hello. Hello. Really? It took us 20 minutes to find out you were lost there, buddy? It's like, we're on a break. We're just about to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Come back.
Ron, are you back? Oh, I thought I heard him come back. Frank?
Yep.
Frank?
Frank. Frank.
Frank!
Frank. Frank.
Frank.
Frank. Frank.
Frank! F to the R to the A to the N to the K. Rainer in the house.
I'll start talking in my CinemaSins voice. If Frank will come back.
Alright, he hung up again after he messaged me WTF.
Have you ever seen the CinemaSins for Game of Thrones, by the way?
I don't think so.
Truly hilarious. Oh, there's the ring.
Ring.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.